start this match. So Tainan's in white, Elijah's in blue. They do the fake handshake, and you'll see that he's going to get the grips that he started the seminar with right away. So he hunted for those right away. You're going to see him here pull into close guard, but it's a little bit different than what he showed. He's more or less just going to jump to close guard. So during the seminar, he kind of talked about getting to the side, maybe off balance him a bit. He just pulled it. He initially here tried to grab the elbow grip, but he's kind of lost that. Then he began to reach down beneath to try to grab a leg, and then settled on this grip, which Elijah is going to get a really good look at passing Tainan's guard here. He comes like really close, which Tainan's really using his butterfly hooks well here to kind of keep him in play. But Elijah has a couple good knee cuts, gets around to north-south, but they kind of end up out of balance, so they have to reset. So that was some pretty good activity within the first minute of the match there. But again, there was the pull there was more jumping to the guard from the double collars. He pulls right into collar elbow here, a little bit low on the collar, almost gets into the close guard. But Elijah has his knee up. That makes it tough. And Elijah's now trying to keep that hand off the collar, maybe recognizing that Tainan's hunting for it. He gets a really good K guard entry here, so he's underhooking Elijah's right leg and starts going inverting under, potentially going for a knee bar, and gets a good look at the back here. Elijah's kind of scrambling out of it, trying to find a way to stay on top. And right here, what did Tainan talk about during the seminar? Sometimes with these grips, you've lost whatever sweep you've gone for, maybe miss that opportunity, but it doesn't mean you have to accept a bad guard position where you're going to have a difficult time retaining guard. And how he avoided that was just by basically standing up. So he got to look at Elijah's first knee bar here from the K guard entry, starts getting a look at his back, turns into a bit of a scramble, and kind of in a bad position. So he scoots back, stands up. So now they're both back to standing. Now, right here, you can see he has the collar and he already has the elbow. So right now he does not have double collar. He has collar elbow from standing. And you'll see here, he's going to basically pull from that and right away hits one of the sweeps that we went over at the seminar. So Elijah, on the elbow side, Elijah had which was Elijah's left arm. Elijah takes a step back with his left leg. And if you remember at the seminar, Tainan basically said he thinks that's a mistake if you're taking a step back with the left side. Obviously, there's sweeps on available on both sides, but this one you're really going to be in a compromised position pretty quickly, which this sweep worked to have Tainan go into mount. You can see Tainan's coach too, Guy Mendes, there in that yellow vest. Apparently, there's only so many of those yellow vests out there that the elite coaches are able to get. So I just noticed him right now sitting there. Okay, we'll hit play from here. And you can slow us down, but his foot's back, post down by the knee, rides right up into mount. Doing a good job stabilizing the mount. And what he's going to try to... Hey, yep. Oh, I'm good. Thank you. Sorry about that. Um, they he stabilizes the mount and gets a cross face, and he underhooks the elbow of Elijah's right arm. And this is a very good position to be in. You want to slowly start working that arm up overhead, which Tynan is going to do here, and just applying a lot of pressure. Really, Tynan doesn't have any incentive to create a lot of space and move really quick right now. Just slowly working that arm up overhead. Once it gets past 90 degrees, it's going to be in an even weaker and weaker position. And that really takes away a lot of their escape opportunities. I really think if you can get to mount with this crossface underhook, that should be your priority. Now he wants to try to pass this arm overhead, and he's going to kind of try to use his own head here. I'm going to go back here, actually, just a tiny bit of here. You can see Tynan too beginning to use the side of his face and his chin to try to trap that arm too. That can help pass it over. Here, though, it kind of just went right over the shoulder. Elijah's going to make a really good move here to get out of this. He gets under, immediately gets his hands to the hips, and gets a really great kipping escape. Tynan settles down, gets it rocked off balance, and he's just kind of riding the storm. But that was really an excellent kipping escape, especially on top of having to free his arm too. So his arm's overhead. He's able to snag it out, get his hands on the hip, bring his knees in tight, kip, 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 kip those legs, and get a guard reestablished. Almost a sweep, like almost off balance, close to a sweep attempt there. Moves into collar sleeve. Tynan's getting the feet away. We've talked about that quite a bit. Get the feet pointed away from you. And Elijah has the lasso in here. You can see his tiny back up here. So you can see right there his, see if we can get a good still frame of it right there. So with his right hand, he's pulling Tynan's left hand all the way through, and he's trying to have his knuckles on his own thigh. That's going to make it harder for Tynan to extract that leg, and will keep him locked in place a lot stronger. What we're going to essentially see here is Tynan trying to keep connections with his hands on Elijah and very slowly take this guard apart. So it's doesn't have he's not going to create big open spaces where he's going to eventually get or potentially get swept. He's just applying really relentless pressure the entire time, slowly working his way through this guard. He really likes this same side collar grip here as well, which we talked about a little bit when we were going over the cross grip passing sequence is getting that collar grip. Tynan's really using that to pull him in tight. I think there's a pretty good jiu-jitsu channel called Deep Dive BJJ, something like that on YouTube. I'll try to send the link. They just did, I haven't watched it yet, but they did a breakdown of the script right here. Um, at least partially the script, but you can see his right hand there. He's controlling that. He's staying connected to Elijah in some ways. He's not just letting his hands float freely where he can more easily be off balanced. That connection just keeps him kind of glued, allows him to ride the wave a little bit. You can see with his right hand here, he lost the upper lapel, but he's making a grip on the pant or belt right now. So he's staying connected to him. So we want to think that way too as a passer at times, especially when you're tied up into these deep lasso um, and other spider card variations. So Tynan's just applying heavy pressure, trying to keep really good alignment. Here, almost an off balance sweep though, but Tynan's able to ride that up. Again, his grips helped him with that, helped him pull quickly on top. We talked a little bit about that this morning too. Is when there is a sweep like that or an off balance, it's kind of inducing a little bit of a scramble, and it's whoever can get on top quicker there. So there, Tynan got off balance. Elijah wasn't able to quickly try to get himself on top in any way, and just had to accept continuing to being on the bottom. I guess one of the things that came up in practice this morning was, yeah, one somebody had hit very similar move, slightly outside of that, but then just kind of sat there and hesitated. And what happened? The top person who was off balanced, almost swept, just came right back on top, similar to this. So there, you have to at times time these sweeps with the intention of getting on top at all costs. Um, I mean, at this point in the match, too, Elijah's kind of in a position where an opportunity like that isn't going to come that easily. And with less than 5 minutes on the clock, strategically needs to be thinking he needs to start taking some risks here. So even if he didn't feel that it wasn't quite there, I mean, he had Tynan. I'm talking like this is easier said than done, but probably needs to take a risk to try to get on top, almost induce a scramble at that point and take that risk because being down 6 points, there's not a whole lot of hope here. You have to probably take the gamble in some of those situations. So he's back in here though. Deep lasso again. He has his own elbow grip here on Tynan's collar. And Tynan's going to get the feet off. Probably somewhat exhausting for Elijah, even though he looks pretty relaxed here. But this pressure is starting to cause that energy meter to get a little bit lower and lower. Now instead of grips, he's having to frame. Same side shoulder post. Titans continuing to drive in, relentless pressure, almost, it's not tripod passing, but you could see the tripod position there, cutting the angle. Almost a bit of a throw by, trying to get that foot on the outside, getting the collar grip, pressure, reach under. I believe he begins to start grabbing the bottom leg here a little bit. The top part not like quite like in the cross grip hand passing. Begin trying to shin staple, get past those. There he has a little bit even lower on the knee line. Now he's in half guard. So that was a big battle there, but now he's not quite shoulders flat half guard, but he's going to be here soon with really applying this cross face. And really, there was a lot of pressure. Now Elijah's going to be eating even more pressure here. Huge shoulder face. You can see where Tynan's kind of turned out on an angle a little bit with his tailbone and hips. That helps stabilize the position. You can see his toes are on the ground here too. Maybe ideal would maybe be on the ball of your foot a little bit, but that really helps you be able to ride the situation out even further and avoid like the off balances, like the John Wayne sweeps and so on. But this is a very difficult position at this point for Elijah to deal with, especially this point in the match and how much energy he just had to expend trying to avoid this position. I was just trying to get on his side, trying to get some better frames in, which now he does have a cross shoulder post, trying to get that knee in, maybe enter some sort of um, Z guard, Z shield. Tiny just keeps applying that um, cross face, keeps trying to get that top knee off, really applying the shoulder there. So you can see Elijah's hips are turning towards his left. His face is completely turned the other way here. I mean, this is very, very uncomfortable for him. to the point where, I mean, he passed there, yeah. So, I mean, at that point, most people are just going to want to give up the pass into side control. I almost thought when I first watched this that he was going to go for the paper cutter choke that we just went over in morning class, and maybe he was thinking about it. He's definitely in the position where he could have. Has the belt grip, has that far arm controlled, is blocking the hip. You talked about that. That really helps prevent the regard, but Elijah still was able to fight through that and get back to a half guard here, even with that arm in place. Tainan has a look for a guillotine there, but doesn't really take it, just maybe lightly is threatening it and begins to just begin to have him stay flat. No reason to risk anything there with going for a guillotine or anything. Better off just staying on top and keeping the bottom player flat. Almost an octopus type sweep there. More heavy crossface. Really using that lapel. And then he's going to almost get this rear triangle to end the match. But Elijah's saying, I'm not going to tap. If I can get through this without tapping, that's a win. And it's over. So, again, I thought this was a good match because it was hard to find a lot of clips of him using what he exactly did or taught us at the seminar. I did ask TJ a little bit if he had any other clips. He didn't have like a ton of like, hey, this match he was in close guard for 5 minutes or in collar elbow. So this was just one quick version of that. But then I thought there was quite a few other areas within this match of stuff that we've maybe reviewed or have talked about before. And overall, it was a pretty exciting match, I thought. There was good activity from um, both competitors at various points. So that's all I have today. Any questions or comments?
I got one, a quick one with the sweep that Tynan got initially, and when Elijah put his left foot back, the reason why that was bad was because Tynan had control of his elbow, and so he couldn't post. Is that what is that was? I couldn't remember the actual reason. Like,
Yeah, I think that's part of it is that he can't post on that side, but also that leg back. I think it's easy for Tynan right now to use his right foot to really you're kicking out a little bit, but it's almost just like blocking that foot back. Then you're able to just place that foot there as a blocker, and when you do the steering wheel, it really just gets them off balance quickly.
yeah. Yeah, I like the push on that 45 when we were doing it really knocked them over versus I think my partner that was doing it to me was kind of like kicking me in the ribs, but when you watch it here, it's really just a push.
Yes, you're almost putting a block there where they can't then like take their leg and step out as you start doing the steering wheel. Boom,
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
That
That's
that was yeah. So I mean that's directly from the seminar.
oh, definitely, yeah,
You just kind of hit it from dropping to it from standing and going right away, and that's the one thing too. Like with any of these techniques, you're kind of learning them from a more static position, but in a competition, similar to what he was talking about, it's going to be blended. It might be like super quick like that. Like you're pulling, you're immediately attacking this. You're not. He's not hanging out there waiting. Oh, I need to push back his legs. He's quickly reading his leg went back a little bit and just going for the sweep instantly.
yeah. When I
Any
was,
other thought?
I think Andrew had he was going to ask a question. I think.
Oh no, I was really cool find to actually find an exact move from the seminar, and then just to know for like Tanyan's passing, really cool just to see him kind of weighing on Elijah for such a long time to wear him out. I thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah, that really goes into what he was saying about. I was saying before that his two kinds of passing that he likes to do is kind of that. Um, he says he's not speed, but he'll use the outside. He's not using wasted energy, but he'll do that kind of outside passing for a little bit, but then goes in for the pressure passing, which is I think it's more like I don't know if the I don't remember which coach is more like that. If it was Guy or I think Guy is more mid range, but and I'm not half always seems like he's on the outside, but he might be pressure. But I know it's a definite pressure moving into it. There was a position in there uh with this match that uh I think he was just kind of like cooking him for a little bit of keeping his leg in that half guard. But I know I think I showed it in one of my other matches where Tynan will sometimes use his left leg and put it and staple it, like put the knee over the opposite way, like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so
Yep.
that's kind of a Lepre way of doing it. And I know Tynan is a big student of Lucas Lepre, so
Hmm.
that's kind of interesting. And then that last move where he threw the triangle in from the side control, that's something I've seen Lepre do in matches where he'll have side control, lift the guy up, and then throw the triangle on like that. So that's uh, a pretty cool move right there too. At the very end.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Mark's told me too about like that, almost like putting like your knee in, I guess the wrong way for like half guard or like the almost like a backwards knee cut type because it just prevents the bottom player from bringing that knee in and trapping your foot at times. I think is part of it. Like your foot's easy to grab, but you can't really do anything if your knee's pinning there. If I'm thinking of what you're saying, Paul, it's like
Yeah,
it's a way to like
that's
almost like
yep.
shin staple the reverse way or
That
kind of.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And then he's keeping the one leg shin pin reverse, and then his right knee is pushing into the hip bone. And so he's got a side control, or maybe he's controlling the pant, and he's got a cross face. He's got his right knee on the hip, and his left knee is doing that reverse, staple. So
Hmm.
cool stuff.
That kind of feeds into to what he was saying at the seminar. I'm not super familiar with Elijah's style, but kind of was saying he makes everyone play his pace, so like kind of wearing down and then keep him in, keeping them in half guard to kind of stay at his pace.
Yeah, yeah. Elijah's he's explosive. For him, actually, when I was watching the last Worlds, when I reviewed the one last week, Elijah lost. I don't know if he lost in the second round, but um, and I was surprised because how well he looked here in the finals at Pans, and also because I don't think middleweight had all the big hitters. Think some of them moved down to lightweight, like Jackson the guy, and there were a number of people who should have been up in that category. I was looking at the difference, but there were a lot of people that were a lot of big players that were taken out early. And Elijah was one of them. So he's a explosive. He's a very good escapes. He's on the cusp. And Dan, your point about the yellow thing, they just do that for the finals. I think the finals or maybe semifinals and finals, they only have like
Okay.
the two coaches. They only have like I think they only do have two yellow high vis jackets like that, and they're just for the main coaches. So in this video, there was another guy that had the high vis. That's Lloyd Irvin. That's Elijah's coach. So
Uh, okay.
so, and we don't f around with the Lloyd Irvin group.
No. Yeah. No, I heard Dan Lukert talking about the jacket or whatever, or like the
Yeah,
vest, I guess.
yeah. All right.
Okay. Anything else?